A decade later, investigators are still chasing ghosts. A digital phantom born from the ashes of the world's first great crypto catastrophe. We're talking about Mt. Gox, a name that echoes like a ghost story in the halls of cryptocurrency history. In 2014, it was the largest Bitcoin exchange on the planet, handling over 70% of all transactions worldwide. Then, in the blink of an eye, it imploded. 850,000 Bitcoins worth, nearly $500 million at the time, and tens of billions today vanished. It was a digital bank heist of unprecedented scale, leaving a trail of financial ruin and a mystery that has deepened with every passing year. While some of the funds were eventually found in an old, forgotten wallet, the vast majority, over 650,000 BTC, remains missing, locked away in the digital ether. But this isn't a cold case. The trail, once thought to be frozen solid, is beginning to thaw. New breed of digital detectives is on the hunt, and the ghosts of Mt. Gox are starting to stir. The Mt. Gox saga is more than just a story of lost money. It's the genesis myth of crypto's dark side. It was the first hard lesson for an idealistic community, a brutal demonstration that the blockchain-esque promise of a trustless system could be shattered by all-too-human failings. It's mismanagement, negligence, and, as many believe, outright theft. For years, the official narrative, championed by its disgraced CEO Mark Karpeles, was one of a catastrophic external hack. A faceless, nameless entity had bled the exchange dry over several years, exploiting a flaw in the Bitcoin protocol itself, known as transaction malleability. This flaw, they claimed, allowed attackers to alter transaction IDs, making it seem as though funds were never received, tricking the system into sending the coins again and again. The exchange was a victim, a casualty of a technology still in its infancy. But as the dust settled and the bankruptcy proceedings dragged on, a different, more unsettling picture began to emerge from the digital wreckage. Now, a decade on, the case has been reignited. It's not in a courtroom, but in the shadowy corners of the dark web and the intricate labyrinth of the blockchain itself. A scattered network of private investigators, hired by consortiums of frustrated creditors, are working alongside independent white-hat hackers and even former Mt. Gox employees. These are individuals who lost fortunes, careers, and their faith in the system. For them, this isn't just a job, it's a personal crusade. They are armed not with magnifying glasses and fingerprint dust, but with sophisticated blockchain analysis tools, AI-driven pattern recognition software, and a deep understanding of the crypto underworld's complex culture. Their quest is to do what law enforcement agencies across the globe have failed to do. To follow the money, to trace the ghostly path of the stolen coins, and to finally put a face to the phantoms who pulled off the heist of the century. Their work is a painstaking process of digital archaeology, sifting through terabytes of old transaction data, forum posts, and leaked chat logs from the early 2010s, searching for any breadcrumb that might lead them to the truth. The first major breakthrough came from an unexpected source: silence. For nearly 10 years, the wallets associated with the Mt. Gox hack were a digital graveyard perfectly still. Hundreds of thousands of bitcoins sat dormant, untouched, a sleeping dragon guarding a hoard of digital gold. Then, slowly at first, the dragon began to wake. Small amounts of bitcoin, fractions of a coin, began to move. It was a test, a probe, to see if anyone was watching, and they were. These initial movements were like fingerprints left at a crime scene, digital signatures that could be meticulously traced. The investigators watched as the coins began a complex journey, a dizzying dance of digital obfuscation. The stolen funds were funneled through mixers and tumblers, services designed to anonymize cryptocurrency. By blending it with thousands of other transactions, like pouring a drop of ink into a turbulent river, the goal was to break the chain of custody, to launder the coins until their sordid history was washed clean. But the blockchain remembers everything. While mixers can muddy the waters, they cannot erase the past entirely. Using advanced heuristic analysis, investigators began to piece the puzzle back together, clustering addresses and identifying patterns of movement that pointed towards a common origin and a coordinated effort. They followed the digital breadcrumbs out of the mixers and watched as the freshly cleaned Bitcoin began to land on a series of obscure and, in some cases, now defunct cryptocurrency exchanges. A clear pattern emerged. A significant portion of these laundered funds was being consolidated in wallets connected to exchanges with known ties to Russia and Eastern Europe. One name that kept appearing in their analysis was BTCE, a notorious and shadowy exchange that was eventually shut down by U.S. authorities in 2017. Its alleged operator, a Russian national named Alexander Vinnik, was arrested in Greece and accused of laundering billions of dollars, including, it is now widely believed, a substantial portion of the stolen Mt. Gox funds. The trail to Vinnik and BTCE was a landmark discovery, but it was also a dead end of sorts. Vinnik has maintained his innocence, and the complex web of shell companies and anonymous accounts associated with BTCE made it nearly impossible to trace the funds any further. It was like chasing a ghost through a hall of mirrors. But the investigators weren't just looking forward, they were also looking back, re-examining the initial crime with new technology and a decade's worth of hindsight. Former employees, once bound by non-disclosure agreements or fear of reprisal, have begun to speak, sharing internal documents and memories that paint a chaotic picture of Mt. Gox's final days. They describe a company in disarray, with security protocols that were shockingly lax, and an internal accounting system that was a black box of errors and inconsistencies. A system Mark Harpleys himself allegedly called the Gox monster. This new evidence suggests that the master hack may have been a convenient fiction, cover story for a more complex reality. The current leading theory among the independent investigators is not one of a single massive breach, but a death by 1,000 cuts. They believe that Mt. Gox was likely compromised early in its life, possibly by an insider or through a simple phishing attack, and that a bot was installed on its servers. This bot, operating quietly in the background for years, siphoned off small amounts of Bitcoin, constantly draining the hot wallet. The transaction malleability bug wasn't the cause of the theft, but rather the excuse that masked the slow, systemic bleeding. The final collapse in 2014 wasn't the heist itself, but the moment the company finally realized its vaults were empty. The thief had been living inside the house the entire time, and the management either didn't notice or chose not to see. The new clues all point towards a small, sophisticated group, likely based in Russia, not only had the technical skill to execute the long-term hack, but also the operational infrastructure, via exchanges like BTCE, to launder and cash out the stolen billions. The hunt for the missing Bitcoin is a race against time. With every passing day, the thieves have more opportunities to obscure their tracks, to integrate the stolen wealth into the legitimate financial system. But it is also a testament to the immutable nature of the technology they sought to exploit. Every transaction, every transfer, every attempt to hide is etched forever onto the blockchain, a permanent, unchangeable public record. It is a vast and complex tapestry of data, and somewhere within its threads lies the key to unraveling this decade-old mystery. The investigators believe that with enough processing power and analytical ingenuity, they can eventually trace the flow of every last stolen Satoshi. They are chasing a new lead, a whisper of a set of keys to a long-dormant wallet, a wallet that could hold the answers and a significant portion of the remaining fortune.
Oh.
Why one on would I to why on why I gray vertical why wait right white why I walk gray why type for what was the way we watch or just so why with the when I come to town with
It is active, and for the first time in 10 years, there is a tangible sense of hope among the victims that justice, and perhaps their money, is finally within reach. This case has transformed the blockchain from a mere ledger into something far more profound. It has become a digital graveyard, a final resting place for fortunes won and lost, for dreams created and shattered. The missing Bitcoin of MTGOX is more than just a financial loss. It's a collection of digital ghosts, each one a story of a life altered, a future stolen. But this graveyard is not a place of finality. It's a place where secrets live on, encrypted and waiting. They are etched into the code, silent witnesses to a crime that defined an era. And as long as a single investigator is willing to listen, to decipher their silent testimony, the dead will continue to speak, and the hunt for the truth will never truly be over. The secrets are out there, not buried 6 feet under, but scattered across millions of nodes on a global network, waiting for someone to finally connect the dots.